So why went carnivore, keto, menopause, aging, and things that the authoritative bodies don't want you to know? So if you read my book, God, Where Are You? It's Me on Amazon. You can get it below. I tell you the story about the trauma that I went through and all of the issues, the physical issues that my body had. So I was born with a damaged nerve system. I walked around like this all the time. 5 to 6 neurologists told me, live with it. It's like a tick. I'm like, yeah, I want to rip my head off. I had a stomach valve that was sealed shut. And from there, I was also one of the youngest kids diagnosed with ulcers, diverticulitis, and irritable bowel at 5, just to name a few, with having a mask on my face and everything else. So I had the ultimate of a lot of health issues. I had a lot of stress, high stress. And back then, what was it if you grew up in the 80s? Everything was fat-free. Eat the food guide. Everything's fat-free. This, fat-free, that, fat-free. My whole house was full of fat-free. You can probably relate, right? So when I went through, I talk about the cervical cancer cells. That's where I like to leave them. I went through back in 06, 07, back then. Seems like a whole other lifetime. And when I started to go through that, and when I left my very abusive relationship, it was very mentally challenging. That was about I was 32, so almost 20 years ago. And anyway, so what happened to me was I was under a lot of stress. My whole life was stress. You read my book. I had a kidnapping when I was 5 years old. I'm telling you so you can understand. Stress. Any form of stress. Now, all our bodies handle stress at a different level. I was a big feeler, a big empath. I would feel everything, and I didn't know what was going on. I thought I was just this oversensitive child. And one of the things that happened was, so after I had seen all of the experts and they told me to deal with it, I had to go deal with it outside the systems. Now, I was one of those little kids. Oh, and don't forget, click like, subscribe, and share and comment. It helps our algorithm so I can keep creating, because I really love to help you guys. So you can join me in my free community below. They said there was nothing more they could do for me. My body was really emaciated, very unhealthy, a lot of pain, and very, very sick. And so I had to sort of take a different approach. That's when I actually turned to energy work. And so that was my first start. I'm going to lead up to this. We'll really stay tuned because you want to understand this. So I led to energy work. So I had to learn, like, why do I have all these issues? What's going on? And I ended up on a film with people like Dr. Bruce Lipton, Greg Braden, Joe Dispenza, all of them. And through listening to all of their stuff, I learned a lot about the energy of the body, right? It was great. And people said, you're crazy. So when the bad cells showed up in my cervix, I joked. I went to my doctor and I said, you need to check for this. And she said, you're fine. I'm like, no, you need to check for this. Something's really wrong. So we did. And she calls me and she goes, yeah, how did you know? And I said, because I'm getting rid of my anger with my ex-husband. And she's like, what? She goes, but Trace, I've seen so many things change in your body. I don't doubt it. We need to formulate a plan. We need to get you into the bed. I said, okay. So I asked for a time period because I wanted to really first do it my way. Now, I'm about integrative to the hospitals, right? I'm all about integrative. And this is where I think there's a disconnect with energy work and medicine, where it could really come together and create real true health, which I believe we're going to be doing now. As we've seen the last couple of years, that was about my way, and that doesn't work. We have to do integrative. We're very intelligent bodies. So I had a Chinese doctor at the time, and then I had my energetic person that I was working with to remove the imprints, who is my mentor, no longer here today. And I credit her for my path for keeping me alive. Without her, I know I'd be dead. And so I had to change my diet, and that was part one. I had to change my diet. I had a Chinese doctor, love Chinese doctors, love them. Really good Chinese doctors are great. They've been around for thousands of years helping people, so why are we not paying attention? And I learned at that time about iodine. So one of my practitioners, Chinese doctor, she said to me, you have low levels of iodine. And I started to do all these researches into iodine for what I could find. And I found that iodine was what they used in the apothecaries to heal bodies, right? Seems to be a little bit too cheap, so let's do all this other nonsense stuff, right? But people are lazy, they don't research. I also discovered something else. So I went on the iodine, I changed my diet, I started to let go of all the emotions, I was moving the imprints, getting rid of the energy, all the stuff I teach you guys now, and how to look at that. Because this is about, you can't just do one component, you can't just change the diet. So just bear with me. I know if you've stayed here, just bear with me if you really want to change your life. It's not, oh, I can't. No, it's a matter of, do you want to change your life? Because I was going to die again. I had to do this at all costs. And I'm hoping that I can inspire you at all costs to really change your life. So I was like, wow. So I shifted. So I went to a compound pharmacy. She told me what to do, what to get. And I'm just telling you, please check with your own doctors, your own people, and your naturopaths. I'm just sharing my experience. That's it, okay? So I went to the compound pharmacy and they got it for me. They did, you have to be careful. Do you have somebody telling you how to use? I said, yes, I've got my people. I'm all good. And they're like, okay, that sounds perfect. They asked me, it was very good care. I love pharmacists because they really know their shit better than most doctors. I know you can disagree with me, but thank God for them, because a lot of times I've heard them say to people I know, like, don't do that, you can't take that with this, like, I'm like, how do you guys not know this? So anyhow, so I was very grateful for this pharmacist, and he's like, nope, that's exactly perfect. Whoever told you to do it this way, that's perfect. So great. So I go and I do this regime. I'm cleaning out my energy, and I cleaned up my diet. So that's when I was starting to fast, was back then. So that was, like I said, 06, 07, so a long time ago. And that was all great. And then all of a sudden, so I did my routine, and a year to the day, everything was clean. They're like, oh my God, this is a miracle. Great. So it was great. So everything's gone, done. See you later. Good. And so I went about doing my energy work and my diet and stuff like that. I kept what I was eating, and I had these big epiphanies that, you know what? I was like, the Canada food guide, so I'm in Canada, you might have your own food guide, doesn't work. It's full of junk, right? It really doesn't work. And I'm thinking, I don't trust anything from any authoritative body. So I'm sitting there going, you're going to tell me what to eat? There's a reason. And if you start to look around, what you notice over time is that people, they're eating carbs and sugars and all this junk. And you've heard this from other doctors and stuff, but I want to tell you my experience. So there's great people on YouTube, great people, and that's their expertise, like Dr. Ken Berry, he's fabulous. Thomas Delarue, they're fabulous. That's their forte. It's not mine. I want to share my experience with the energy work, because this is a component they're not getting. So I was like, well, why are people grabbing these carbs? So I was pretty healthy. And then as my body and hormones started to shift, and this was a few years ago, started to shift, I noticed that I was getting some night sweats, but I also knew I was stressed. There was things I still had a great life. I transitioned my life. I went from having $1,000 in my bank to getting rid of my head shakes to restoring all my stomach issues. I got rid of all the people, places, and things. I learned how to move the energy and shift the energy, and that's my business now. I teach you how to be empowered, how to wake up all this stuff inside of you, and how to ask so you can get the answers for what your body requires. Because what my body requires may be different from your body. So I teach you how you can ask. So I noticed I was getting some night sweats, and I was busy, and, there was a lot of stuff going on. And I had very much started to put on some weight. And I was like, wait a minute, what's going on here? Stop the presses. And so I was hanging out with people at the time that were not, they were always having fun. Now, I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't do drugs, don't do any of that. Don't even take anything, nothing. And I noticed that their unhealthy lifestyle was impacting me, because I was hanging out with them for a little bit, and it was starting to affect my body. So this whole, people were already into fasting and keto. I'm like, well, that kind of works. I get it. I get fasting because that's what I did all those years ago to restore my body. And so I started with the keto route, and that was fine. But what I noticed, and this was a big aha moment, I'm like, okay, so as you remove into the keto route, the weight was coming off. So over time, I've lost about 40 pounds, okay? I'm 5'10", so I lost about 40 pounds. And everything was fitting better. I was doing my paddle boarding, going for my walks. But what I also started to notice was the night sweats were minimal, but my sleeping's usually very good. And it would sort of go up and down. I'm like, okay, hormones. All my friends were going to the hormone clinics, and it's this and it's that. And I'm like, no. So I started to move my system. So I noticed, because when you cut that stuff out of the diet, out of the way of eating, right? your clarity. So the reason these authoritative bodies have been pushing, especially in North America, high carb, right? So high carb and all this stuff into you, because it dumbs down your pineal pituitary thymus. So it means your intuition gets kicked off. So it's easier for those people to control and manipulate you because your intuition and your thinking is not as straight. Okay, so I didn't have those extremes like other people. This was just sort of gradual. Mine was more kind of in the hormonal, but that's why they do it. My intuition gets stronger and stronger and stronger every day. So just wanted to share it. So I see, feel, hear, and my voice. So my voice has a frequency which has been, worked with other people where they've noticed it, where it actually can change and transition. It's like music and the sound, right? It's all frequency. So my voice, and as one person said, you heal with your breath. And I said, yeah, that's exactly it. So thank you, God, take that. So this was all contrived by dark energies to get you into high sugar and high carbs and things that would slow down the system and dumb down the system. Because then, right, you've heard, if you watch the doctors, they talk about inflammation, and sure enough, then you're on medicine and more medicine. So it's a way to get you into the medicine game as you get older as well. And so I was like, oh, okay, interesting. So doing that research, I'm linking and working with my clients energetically. And a lot of clients would say to me, I can't do that. I'm like, no, you don't want to. There's a difference. Because when I was faced with death, trust me, you'll do anything, right? So over time, so I'd lost the weight, everything was fine. I kind of cheat here and there. Like, I'm not the person that is like, oh, strict, like, yeah, the holidays come, I want to spend some time with my friends and family, but I'm not craving any of those foods. So whatever, if I want it, I want it. I just don't have as much as I used to. So then I switched more to carnivore with a little bit of keto, because I was asking my body, like, body, you're feeling good. But there was a little stagnant energy, and I had this year of just beautiful stuff unfolded, right? So I was like, okay, so I'm going to go a little bit more carnivore. So that carnivore is just all these meats. So some people are very strict, like Jordan Peterson. I think he doesn't do anything, just water. What I actually do is I have my iodine, but I have the Cacao Bliss. I don't know if you've ever tried it. It's very good, so I'll give them a plug. I don't rep them or anything, but I love them, and it is a keto-friendly powder. It tastes like cocoa. And I put it in my morning coffee, and I put if I slice off about this much butter, not my coffee, sorry, my hot water. I don't drink coffee or tea anymore. In my hot water, and then I shouldn't say that. I might have a tea once or twice a month, so I barely have it, but whatever. They just told me to correct that, so I'll listen to spirit. And then I put about this much. If I slice off some butter, I put a lot of butter in it. And then I do my heavy cream because I like it. And I like it. This is me. You don't have to do it. But the Cacao Bliss tastes like hot chocolate. So whatever. So it's kind of fun. It's keto. And I like to have something warm to drink in the morning. So I started doing that. And sometimes, I'll put other things or whatever. And I put that in. And that's my morning. And I'm very, very full. And that's what it is. So I listened to my body, and I would ask my body. So before I go to bed, I'd ask my body, like, what do you need? So I moved to kind of carnivore, and I kind of liked it, kind of didn't, because I like to have a little bit of different variety. But I found that the more I did it, the more I could care less about food. The cravings just went away, and I barely had any cravings to begin with. So I'm not a person who was addicted to food at all. I won't say that, but I did notice around when I was having a cycle, for my cycle, I'd want like chips or something like that. So I wanted the salt. So I incorporated the salt into my carnivore diet, and that kind of moved. But what I also noticed is when I went more carnivore, higher fat than my anything to do with the menopause, because menopause is just ending your cycle so you have babies so you can extend your life. Like, they've screwed you up. There's so much belief systems and imprints I have to remove around women with menopause. I just look at that as more freedom of life. And that's the way you should look at it. And you have to strengthen your body, because there's a way to talk to your body, align your body so the weight moves faster, you get younger, and it's with food. So one is the food. That's number one. And then what I noticed is, two, you got to get rid of the emotions. The energy work is imperative. Like, people say, well, can't you just change your diet? No, because if you haven't let go of all the emotions connected to why are you overeating, why are you not taking control of your life, why are you not speaking up, why do you not have boundaries, those issues are all going to come forward. So it's very, very important that you deal with the energy and the emotions and remove those imprints out of your life. And you got to get happy. You got to bring your stress down. You got to get happy. And so I would always find just eating that way, I got happy, the weight fell off, I had zero hormonal issues, like none. And people always look at me like, what? So zero hormonal issues, I'm super happy. Things are getting happier and happier. And I noticed something else when I went into more carnivore keto. My grocery bill was a heck of a lot lower. I get my food from the farm. I know people, you do what you want to do. I don't waste hardly any food anymore. Like I was throwing out vegetables and all this stuff, like everything. I do eat cheese. Yeah, I do eat dairy. I do. So a lot of my grocery bill's lower because I'm eating better quality. I'm not as hungry and I'm not buying as much garbage. So before you just have all this garbage and it expires and you're not using it. But no hormone issues. Like think about this. Like no hormone issues. I'm in my 50s, no hormone issues. But I feel like I'm 30 years old. Like none. And a lot of younger people that are in their 30s and 20s, they have massive hormone issues and they're having like all these issues, fibroids and cysts and, you know, the other, all the crap going below. Like most of it's iodine issues. A lot of doctors will share that with you. And I'm glad I was shown that many, many years ago. And that's why I use a good Lugol's pharmacy, you know, something that's spun from the compound pharmacies. And you do need to work with someone for that to get the right one for your body. So please be mindful. Okay. I'm just sharing my story. And, so I have zero hormone issues and everything is clear. But the other thing I noticed was my intuition. So my level of peace was next level. I sleep so well. So then I kind of had a few nights where I wasn't sleeping as well and I could feel my body. So when I go to bed, I have a routine. If you're in the Miraculous Academy, you hear me talk about it all the time. And I asked Spirit to show me, like, I need to add something else in my system. It's lacking something. Even though I thought I was doing okay, it's lacking something. And so I asked Spirit to show me, because what happens when you do this and your intuition gets clearer, you're going to be calm. You're going to sleep better. You're going to make really good decisions and you're going to understand energetically what's happening. You'll understand what is yours, what is someone else. So when I'm teaching you all this, you will become literally a manifesting machine because you're not being distracted. Because one thing I learned was all this stuff is also set to dumb down your system, make you gain weight, to make you sluggish so you're not connected. So when your pineal pituitary thymus isn't connected, your intuition is pulled out. So I asked Spirit and I get this dream and I'm like, okay, I need to actually something to do with fat. So anyways, I wake up and I open my YouTube up, right? I just opened it up. I didn't want to get out of bed. And there's this doctor talking about butter, stick of butter. I've never seen her before. I didn't know who she was. And I don't remember her name, so I apologize, but I'm going to give her full credit. I think she was on the Stick and Butter Girls YouTube. I saw that after, but this was her talking. And she was saying all the things that I've been teaching for years, which was so good. I'm like, this doctor's saying this. And she was just common sense. And she was talking about all the changes she's seen in patients that have been changing the diet. But she also talked about the emotional component, the mental component, which people forget about. You need to deal with that. We're all energy. Everything's energy. Your body is talking and communicating. When you learn how to communicate with your body, you can move this all out. So what she talked about, though, was this stick of butter a day. And I know many people have probably heard it, but I'm going to tell you. So I was like, that's kind of weird. So I upped my butter to make sure I was eating the stick of butter. So I realized, so farm, get organic. So grass-fed. So what I realized is I try this. I'm like, okay, but then I was full longer. And then I realized even more weight was coming off and my muscles were getting more defined. All I do is walk. It's winter where I am, walk the dog. And other than that, in the summer, I paddleboard and walk. So I'm not doing heavy exercise. And I'm like, oh, Spirit, this is what you were telling me. Because I'd never seen this person before. I'd never even heard about the butter thing. I guess that's big in carnivore, but I don't go down that road that much. I was like, what does my body want? So I thought I'm going to incorporate this. So I incorporated it and it made a huge difference. So this is how you get messages. I asked, something in my system still needs to change. So I asked in the morning when I opened it up, I never heard, and like, unless they're reading my thoughts, which maybe they are on YouTube, I don't know. I opened this video. I'm like, this is it. Thank you. That's how Spirit works. You ask, look for the sign in the message and act upon it. So I incorporated in. I'm like, if this doesn't work, then okay, something I got to go back to the drawing board. So I incorporated in, and that's where I started to see these big shifts and big results. Like I'm talking like immediately, right? So, and that was how, and then all of a sudden, you know, my skin even got better and everything was better and I was already doing really well. But then my intuition went to even another level. And My night is like this. Now, one thing she mentioned, which I didn't know, is if you're having high stress or cortisol before sleep, you take this butter before bed, and I can't do that. I'm sorry. I don't like that. But for a lot of people, but I'm like, if I incorporate it and I keep it high, then not only is the weight falling off, but everything's down. But I didn't really think I had more weight to lose, but whatever, I guess my body did. But I'm getting very good nutrients and everything feels gone. So here's the key is I'm happy. I'm healthy. When I used to be sick and dying, right? I learned how to talk to my body. I learned how to listen. So when you learn how to communicate with your body, which I teach you, so you want to come join me, when you learn how to communicate and you learn to understand what your body is telling you, you get the messages, you act, and you get the same results. You will get the same results. That's why I'm always guiding you guys every step of the way. So this is why it's important, but I wanted to share because so many people are just about the diet. Well, that's one thing. And you might get off of it for a little bit and you might want to, pull back for a little bit and then go back, listen to your body. But the number one reason these authoritative bodies have not told you about all of this and to work on your emotional body, your energy, your frequency, because that's how you can create anything, is because they want to keep your intuition dumbed down. They want to keep you on pills and drugs. They want to keep you on this because this is their business. Like it's so big, right? And so people look at me like, what is your secret? That's it. I get happy. I keep my stress levels down. Like there's a way I teach people how to command your body to move the system down, right? Move the energy of the stress down and out of the body. But a lot of times people say, I just can't do that. No, you're not at a point where you want to do at all costs. Because just by people changing their diet, they've had miraculous results. You can see it all over with those doctors I mentioned doing great. But if you're willing to then add the energy on top of it, here's the key. Not only does your health get better, do that, yeah, but you'll be able to understand, ask spirit what you need to change. You will get the answer like I did, and you'll get better results. Then you can communicate with spirit. Maybe it's around your money. Maybe it's around your relationships. Maybe it's around your love life. Maybe it's around your connection. Like how many times I hear people say they went to church and they're not getting shit all from the spirit. I'm like, because they don't teach you, because that's also part of the old system. They're not teaching you how to connect to spirit. I know, I had to learn the hard way. That's why I woke up over 20 years ago. Everything going on in the world, that's old news. Been going on for thousands of years. Most of us woke up. But I woke up so I could help you. So I wanted to share my story because it's so important that diet is one thing. But see, your intuition is everything. So no different than all that, like the fluorides and the, people have all the water bottles and all that, seeps all that iodine out of your system. Why do you think we have so many health problems? And why do you think everybody's slamming down all this stuff that's going on? It was already proven that head of the biggest exchange that went down, I gotta watch my words, his brother did the report that told you not to take the thing that would actually help if you got what we just went through in the last 2 years, read between the lines. It's all contrived. But that's the thing. Where do you think the food guide came from? Yeah. So it's about empowerment. And that's what I teach you is how do you get empowered? That's what the body regeneration method's about. That's why we have cards. How do you shift it? What do you need? How do you go deeper? How do you use your intuition? How do you waken up what's already inside you? But these people knew this was already inside you. So, fat free from the 80s. Fat free. And then you went, oh, fat free, I don't want to get fat. You were tricked. So I'm proof, and I wanted to share that. It's a longer video today, but I'm proof. I changed the way I was eating as my system changed. So before that, when I went through and restored all my body with energy work, the iodine, and I worked every day at all costs. I was hardcore changing my diet. I was more of a balanced sort of diet, a little bit of everything. But then as I got older and things started to shift and then my hormones did go off. So at that point, that's when I was starting to ask my body, what do you need? And I did put on, like I said, I put on 40 pounds. Like I was just around people. I was just kind of eating it, and there was their energies that was more heavy, and I was compensating for them. A lot of times we put on weight because we're compensating. We're holding the weight to expand to keep people away, or you're holding their energy to make them feel better. So then you will put on weight, then you'll grab carbs and you'll grab sweets and you'll grab, potato chips like I was and stuff like that. And then you kind of get in a habit, then you get lethargic. But again, all costs. all costs. So, this doctor, she mentioned, you've got a craving, eat a little bit of butter, you'll be fine. Load up. I just loaded up in my drinks or my steak, and I'm not hungry all day, but sure made a difference. So again, as you're shifting and you shift the energy, that will shift too. So at all costs, at all costs. And if your intuition's on track, you're going to really learn and have concentration, and you're going to know, and you're going to feel, you're going to like, yeah, I want to do that. No, I don't want to do that. So it's up to you. But I wanted to share that because I'm really tired of watching people I know say I can't do that, and they have thyroid issues and they have menopausal issues and they're gaining weight and they're mad. It doesn't have to be that hard, but you're making it hard. So next time you say I can't, maybe you got to start saying I can. If I can do it, you can do it. I know you can do it. I have no problem leading the way, but everything I share and everything I've learned and all the tools I teach you guys and all the energy tools, like whether it's a prayer book or the Body Regen deck, all that stuff I teach you guys, I use every day myself. So choice is yours. You can be in pain and inflammation and get all these illnesses and go on expensive drugs. Like someone told me their diabetes medicine was like $400 a month. Okay, change your diet. Get rid of your stress. Find ways to get rid of all those things that are stressing you out, which is most of people, it's in their head because they've got so many things going around like monkey brain, right? There's tools that I teach you how to calm that down that I use myself. I was one of the most high-stress people at 5 years old. Why do you think I had ulcers, diverticulitis, irritable bowel syndrome at 5? I was so stressed out, and that went into the rest of my life. That's why I was like, my whole body, I looked like a freaking Pez doll. So that's something to learn, but these are the things. So diet, energy work, iodine, get rid of the emotions, get happy. You can do it. And you'll change your life. So comment below, click the like, subscribe, share. Thank you guys for being here. Join me out at tracylclark.com. Come join me in the Miraculous Academy if you're really brave and you want to learn every day and you want to shift every day and you want to know exactly what I'm doing every day. It gives you a blueprint, but your blueprint is your blueprint, and at all costs, you can change your life. We're in the biggest period of manifesting we've ever been in, so you don't want to miss it. No reason to play small anymore. It's time for you to live the life you're meant. I love you guys, and we'll see you again.